embroideries were placed by you or by who put the embroidery?
It is collection of my grandmother,
but who put it?
Plečnik put it.
Plečnik put it.
Because
So-
you see, all these ornaments are, the groups are very ornamental here.
Yeah, it's fascinating. First step is indeed, as he placed them in a very simple way, they give a double height to the
Yes,
room.
but double height existed before because in this place the two family villas were projected, but my grandmother would like only one family house. That's why the ceilings are so high, quite 4 meters high.
Yeah, but you see, it has merit because you give a feeling of elevation.
This is
And now, the fact that they are detailed creates, in terms of scale, the feeling of size. Now, what I found fascinating is how he created a composition out of those historical objects. Those are objects recomposed in a very different ensemble. And each one is interacting with the other, but because they come from not the same region, but very similar regions and very similar cultural approaches to form and the technique of embroidery, they create a kind of supercomposition, a unity, which is, I find it very exciting, very intriguing. Now about the proportions, I believe we're talking, they're very good if one talks intimately, because it is not too high and it is not too low, and the quality of the sound in combination with the materials makes a very friendly environment for interaction, as well as for individual contemplation. I can imagine sitting here and picking up a book.
But this is not really a place for study, it's more for talking and so.
It's a conference room, I
Yeah,
suppose.
sure, yes.
Yeah, but I can imagine when the people are out, using it as your private room and exploiting this environment for your private reasons. I also find extremely intriguing the color aspect of the whole room. The kind of wood he chose is not very dark, but it's not very light, and it's a very intimate space which is interior, but it has the friendliness, not the openness, of an exterior. It's very natural.
Sure, this is a pine wood, but treated only with wax.
Yeah, and at the same time the color gamut or scale of the embroidery goes very well with the wood tone.
Sure.
And it gives this feeling of unity, although they're very different materials.
Exactly, yes, but such a room existed also before on the Prague Castle. It was a room for the President daughter Alice Masaryk, and which is no more existing. But that's why also the President Havel comes here to see it and so on.
But we were talking with a musician, and I mentioned that he reminds me a little bit of two musicians. On one hand, Scriabin, the Russian musician, who had this wisdom of the classical, and then he would create tension and conflict, through which in the very end you understood better the classical. The second one, which for me is a little bit more boring, but is the British musician, Elgar. And they are a little bit in this classical, modern, not modern, but while Elgar does it in a very sweet way, Scriabin is really shaping up the person with a tension between tradition and not modernity, but going beyond and in depth, creating a new wisdom.
I think now, I think that the architecture by Plečnik is now maybe more actual as it was before. It means after the functionalism, nobody was interested in Plečnik. It was all eclectical, I don't know, all. But now many people are asking for Plečnik. They are interested in because the old wisdom he brought to the modern time. He also, it is not a copy of the old architecture, but it is some addition or remake of the old architecture in the other way, which could be also good for the student to learn the principal laws of art.
We visited his own house.
Yeah.
The last time we were here,
Yeah.
and saw his library, which was very interesting because it included, it was almost an encyclopedic collection of very Orientalist schools of architecture, texts in general, from India, from Assyria, from Spain, I think what he was trying to do was place a kind of Wagnerian approach, which was ornamental.
Universalism, but I wouldn't call
inside,
it.
he was trying to be a universalist.
But last but not least, when I'm in this room, I think more about the universe, the harmony and the secret of harmony of the universe, rather than, it's not a family room. It's a cosmic room, to me.
Yeah, sure, maybe, yeah, why not? Yeah.
That's, I'm sorry, I'm contradicting a little bit what you said, but so the conclusion is, yes, it's a home.
Yeah. But Plečnik said that people who has a high position, like my grandfather who was the director of the building office, they have also to represent. There is a duty to represent. So that's why this room is not good for everybody, but only for maybe selected elite people.
To me, the Plečnik house, and this house, and the whole oeuvre of Plečnik is a microcosm, in a way, of Ljubljana as a whole. It's made out of elements that are from very different architectural languages. The thing about the architectural language of Plečnik, as far as I can tell, is its polyphony. It marries some classical elements with Orientalist elements. That have
but
been
not too
taken.
much, I think so, because you know, Semper wrote there existed only two original styles. One is antiquity, it means Greek architecture, and the second is Gothic. And Gothic is no more usable because Gothic is the pure construction, and you can very soon be on the end of this. That's why only the Greek antiquity could be good for today use. No? That's why you have maybe on the cemetery of Žale you have many different types of buildings, but mostly all they are deriving from the Western art, it means Western civilization, and from the humanity or humanism of this type of architecture.
But if you look at his library, something like 80% of
Yeah.
it is about not Western architecture,
I think so. I
but
think it is.
texts about places that Strigovsky, the
Yeah.
famous
But-
Austrian
Yes, I know. Yes, but anyway, I'm not so sure.
Oriental
Yeah.
art historian of the
that's,
Orient.
that's the point. She wants to go deep and beyond.
Yeah.
And she is not a localist.
No.
She is not nostalgic of the peasant life in any way.
Yeah.
And you can see the way she places the buildings in the town. This town is eager to create, I come back to this notion, a community which is public. It is not a local agricultural, it's a civic
Exactly. Yes.
space.
Yeah.
I think this is what most contemporary architects lack, as a matter of fact. It is not their mistake. We had a discussion yesterday. It is the tragedy of the framework within which East, West, North and South architects are obliged to work today. And it is not conducive to this terrible period of Plečnik. Terrible, but still it had elements of discovery and belief. And discovery and belief, I think, have run thin in our time.
You mean that? I think so. That the position of Slovenia is very important for architecture. We are a very small nation, but we have many very good architecture. You can ask why, but I think so because we are just in between the north of Europe and the south, the Mediterranean. We can use the elements of the both cultures, and this is also the case of Plečnik.
Yeah, well, that's our personal fascination with the place. You turn this way and you say, oh, I'm in the Balkans. And then you turn the other way and you say, I'm in Venice. And then you look up and you say, well, here is Vienna. And
Exactly.
I think in the very end, like those posts of the Balkans, because you're in this triangle of Alpine North versus pure Mediterranean, Latin, Roman, and then of course this big force of the Slavic culture, which whether we like it or not, it is all over here. And those ornaments is very, very clear.
Well, if you look at this room even, it's a Balkanization of elements. You've got this Egyptoid golden lamp next to these very rustic, exaggeratedly rusticated chairs,
Yeah, but this is-
with a little refinery at the bottom, a kind of extra touch to show the talent of the real carpenter. Next to this lamp, which looks like it could be out of a church, and these materials that he put here himself, these embroideries that he put here himself, which are really folklore. And so it's bringing together elements that
Yeah, sure. But
really,
That-
Alex said
that
it,
is-
Balkan, he's making a Balkan utopia, or a Balkanized
yeah,
ideal.
but we don't like so much here to speak about the Balkan in Slovenia
Well-
because we always think that our culture is more bounded to the Middle European art or Middle European civilization,
Yeah,
and
well,
so that's why.
Universal then.
Yeah,
universal,
sure, yes.
Universal.
All this has to do with the teaching of Gottfried Semper, because you have also in the Semper book that architect can also use a joyous, like a nice woman, and you have this lamp which is like a brush or anything like this.
But it's at odds with the
But
rustic, the
no, but
rustic
the
elements
chairs,
of
I
the
think
chairs.
this is a combination from the Greek and the Egyptian
Yes, yes.
chair. Yeah. Semper wrote that on the beginning, it means in the ancient time, the upholstery was never been fixed on the chair. That's why you have this intermediate face and so on.
Yeah. As for the bending
Yeah.
in the leg of
This
the
is not
table,
bent, it is only cotton.
my improvised interpretation sees, you know, the bite inwards is that they're terribly functional. Because as one moves around, always bumps at the end of a leg.
Yeah.
But if you remove
Yeah,
the end of the leg a little bit, the eye goes down and so it goes like that, and then never touches. And the back legs are not like that.
No,
They're
no,
straight.
yes.
Now,
But
well, I'm sorry for this
no, it's okay.
improvisation.
But you know, there is in Semper, you can read that all the old chairs and so on in the antiquity, they have a leg of the animals, no?
Yeah.
And this is also anything what comes from this idea.
Do you think it's very possible? That's another possible interpretation.
Yeah, sure, it is. I
Yeah.
think so. Because Plečnik was not very well educated. He comes to Otto Wagner as cabinet maker without any big knowledge of the culture and so on. And after 3 years, he becomes to be one of the most important architects. That's what was possible only with the help of the theory of Gottfried Semper, and which is all the metamorphization of the old art.
He got inspired to a certain extent,
Yeah.
perhaps, by Otto Wagner's attachment to ornament, but rethought it completely. Amplified it and diversified it much more. I think orientalized it, Indianized it, Egyptianized it, Syrianized it. There were some pointed arches in the pointed doors in the.
Exactly. Yes.
There are elements from all kinds of cultures.
But what is for Plečnik very important is that his architecture must be organic architecture, because and organic is after Semper you have two different types. One is Greek and one is Egyptian. In Egyptian art, all the ornaments are only glued on the structure. In the Greek art, it is a part of structure, and this is for Semper. Always the Greek art was organic art, and the Egyptian no. This was the old question of. And Plečnik was always. He always tried to make organic architecture, so it is all glued together, but in such way that you can more say from which part it derives. It is Oriental or it is classical or so on, but
I think he wanted to explode the canon, the way beyond what Semper saw as the.
Yeah, but he was always dependent on Semper all the time.
But of course, but I think he was also getting inspired by Strigovsky and the Orientalism that was new. Crete had just been rediscovered at the time. The Knossos had just been rediscovered.
This was very, by Evans, discoveries of Knossos, it was very important.
Yeah, very important.
So at that time, Plečnik,
and that knowledge, the knowledge, the archaeological knowledge that was being produced in the fin de siècle all over Europe and in England brought an explosion of architectural knowledge, and I think he must have been using that in addition to Semper as a way of amplifying.
Yeah, no, but
the whole-
Semper said you can, if you lose your way, you have always go back to the beginning, not to the classical art, but to the archaic art. And this is the case of Plečnik, because when the second book of the events
Yeah.
about Knossos comes out, Plečnik changed also the doorknobs on the Prague castle also in the shape of the shackles and so on. This was also because of discoveries of the Tutankhamun graves in Egypt and so on. This was and also from Knossos you have many elements. And
I'm
also from Mykenae you have the door of lion's door.
Yes.
You have also in the shape of the vases in the Prague castle, this is the same idea, the two lions looking back and the column in the middle and so on. So this was very important also.
And the serpentine lines
Yeah,
of the chandelier out there
Yeah.
could come from the one of the priestess figures who have
maybe, yeah.
snakes in the hand. I mean, the
You think
serpentine
so?
lines.
Yeah.
The serpentine line certainly is visible in Knossos.
A mythological serpent.
Yeah.
But talking about his curiosity, it's interesting, probably you know it, not you know it, you noticed it 100 times, on his desk,
Yeah.
as it is now, there is a collection of Baedekers,
Yeah,
of
sure.
travel books.
But this is the Baedekers mostly about the Italy. So because he traveled also with his friend, first as a student, after finishing the school, and after with his brother. But he never repeated his travel to the South Italy. He comes only to the north, maybe, some places. That's why you have seen
Yeah,
yes, the
it's,
Baedekers, yes. And he brought also many of Alinari photos about
Yes.
the monuments
Yeah.
and so.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
very popular
Yeah,
at that time.
very good collection.
Sure, yes.
And the Alinaris were very interested in textiles.
Yeah, sure.
Tons of photographs of textiles.
These are the best photos at that
Yeah.
time, I think, without
Italian
any cards,
silks.
without any wires and so.
Italian silks and
Yeah, sure.
all
That's
those the brocade patterns. And,
Yeah, sure.